So let's quickly move these things up a bit, and we'll do that by removing this. Since we already have the class name here, the class title, we can remove this, and then we put this one, and this one in one line. So let's see how we can do that. So we go back to class tab lecturers, and no, actually this is not the place. Where are the views? It should be single class view. There we go. Okay, so class, this row goes out the window, out, and then we have a table heading here, which is good, and then we have table data, which is awesome. Yeah, but let's just remove the ending of the table row here, and let's remove the starting of this other row here. That way it remains one row, and table header, table data. That's it. So let's refresh. Okay, pretty awesome. Now we've moved a notch upward. So created by, date created. Okay. So also maybe we don't need this break tag at all. That way we move another notch upward. Yes, looking great. So now we want to be able to remove a lecturer. Wait a minute. Okay, these work. Okay, so when I click here, obviously we won't have anything here, but not to fear. Let's come down here. Let's see what's going on. So we have this class lecturer add. So all we need to do is duplicate this. Now don't forget to duplicate the break as well. So duplicate. Instead of add, this will be remove. So remove. And so we need to create this file as well. So copy. Actually, maybe no need to copy it. I just want to copy the add version of this, because yeah, everything is copyable. So I'm going to select all and copy, and create a new file, paste, save this file, and let me select the add right here so that I follow the naming convention, except I will change add to remove. So now it becomes class tab lecturers remove.inc.php. So now if I refresh this, we have this. Yes. Now we should be able to search. Let's change a few things. First of all, it's not add lecturers anymore, it's remove lecturer. And yeah, we still need to see some errors in case of errors, so we'll leave that be. And yeah, everything else remains the same except the tab. Okay, the tab for going back, that's okay. What else here? You know, everything looks about good. No results were found. Yes, so I'll refresh. The only difference is, so remove lecturer. So you have to type the name of the lecturer here and then search. So let's try and remove Mr. Vibe. Search. No results were found. Why? That's insane. We should find some results. Yes. Now the reason there are no results is if we go back to single class controller, at this point it's only looking for lecturer add here during the search, and the selected. So instead of wasting having to retype, because most of this is going to be exactly the same, so what we will do instead is put an or here. So we'll copy this and put or and paste the other one and put remove here. So in either case we have to come back here. But let me put these two in a bracket. That way they are evaluated first, and then we check to see if actually something was posted. Okay, so this should effectively give us a result. So search, and there we go. So remove lecturer here, and if I click now here, it should select this one. But the problem is we only have the add and not the remove. So we need to know how to delete this current user. So how will we know that? A problem we have at the moment is that our delete only accepts an ID of the row. Now currently this is just a row in the users table. That's what we returned here. It's a row in the users table. It's not a row in the class lecturers. So we don't know at what ID vibe Peters is in relation to this class in here. So let's refresh this. So you're going to notice that vibe Peters is ID 1 in this table. However, the row that we are reading is the users table, where vibe is ID number 5. So we don't want to end up deleting the wrong thing in the class lecturers. So it means we have to read from it first to find where this user ID matches this class ID, and then we'll get the ID of that user and then remove them. Now remember, we don't want to delete this row. Deleting rows is not a good idea when you have big tables, because it messes up your indexes and it makes reading from the database a bit harder. So instead of deleting unnecessarily, we're just going to disable this user. That way, because we know that it's possible that they might add this user again some other time. So instead of actually deleting, we're just going to disable, and then we will enable when the time comes. Yes, yes. So this way it means if a record exists, we'll disable it. If it does not exist, then we don't need to do anything, right? So if it exists, we disable. Actually, that's the only thing we can do. When removing, we just have to check if it exists and get the ID and disable it. So in this case, even when we are trying to remove, so let me copy this remove, we'll still have this selected here. Now, at this point, what's happening is that we are checking first to see if it exists, and then if it does not exist, we add. However, that lecturer already exists, yes. However, this is a perfect place we are looking for. If the lecturer does not exist, we should okay, I see. So we can't do what I wanted to do. So instead what we will do is this. This is the query we're going to need for either cases, and so we'll start from here, right there. So this will be the different part. So what I will say is I'll put this and say if page tab is equal to lecturer remove, then we'll do something else. Let's check for add instead, because that's more important. So close that, and let's push everything inward. Duplicate that, push that outward. Don't forget the opening bracket. So if lecturer is add, no problem. Then let's put an else statement. Copy this. If lecturer, excuse me, is remove, then we do something else. So here it's remove. Okay. So at this point, lecturer remove, and it's a pity that we have to repeat this code. We don't need this, so we just need this here up to there. copy, paste. So this query is this query here, and we are checking. Now, if it is true that this user exists, if the user exists, then we're going to remove and then we redirect. But I want to capture this result here. Here we're not capturing the result, so I want to capture it and say row is equal to, like this. And let me use first here in, oh no, I can't use it, can I? No, there's a query here, so I can't do that. So row here will have a value. So this row will represent what we want to remove. So all this is not required. What we need is just the ID. So out, and let's move to delete. Actually, I was wrong. Since we want to disable and we don't want to actually delete, we're going to use the update. And then I will want to remove all this except for disabled, and disabled will be equal to 1, but the rest of this will be out like this. And yeah, let's put our ID here, and this ID will come from this row, the result here. Now keep in mind that this result is an array of rows, so we're going to need to get the first result and then the ID of that first result and comma like this. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too confusing, so let me go through it one more time. So what happens is when we select an item, we first check if this is an add operation or a remove operation. So if it's add, we go to this point, which we don't care about now. If it's a remove, we're going to come here and read from the table to see if a user exists that has this ID and the class ID. If they do not exist, everything will just be ignored. We won't even be redirected, but we may want to add an error actually, just so we don't just keep quiet. Yeah, that lecturer could not be found. Wait a minute. So here I need to remove this exclamation point, because I want, if it is found, this when we do this. If it's not found, we do that. So that lecturer was not found. Was not found in this class, like that. Okay. So just in case, this is going to be rare, but just in case it happens, then we'll have that at least. And then if it was found, then we disable it, update, and then redirect. So let's give it a shot, shall we? So I'm just going to click select, and we are back here. It seems we have not disabled, or have we? So let's go back in here and let me refresh. And you see that disabled is actually equal to 1. So we did manage to disable that user, but the user is still visible here, and that's because the query that reads the users here, the lecturers, does not care if the lecturer is disabled or not. So we can change that by updating the query itself. So where is that query anyway? It's this one right here. No, actually this is not the one that gets lecturers. Where do we get lecturers from, if I may ask? So this is the tab, and it means we are getting the lecturers from here. Now the problem here is we want to match two things, the class ID and also the disabled value. So which means we can no longer use this, but we have to use a query. So let's create a query when the query becomes complex. So I'm just going to say Now this is going to create a bit of a problem. We may want to solve this problem a little bit differently, because the advantage of using the where clause here is that it uses actually this shouldn't be a problem at all. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. So select all from class lecturers where class ID is equal to, and we'll add the class ID, and disabled is equal to 0. Good. So there we go. And instead of using the where, we'll use the query. And then we'll add that query here, like so, comma, and let's add an array here for the class ID. So class ID, instead of a comma here, we need a fat arrow like this. Okay, good. So this should work, but let's refresh and see the problem. Yeah, we don't get any result. Now, the reason is because, oh, wait a minute. Let me just show the result here, if it actually gave us a result. So I'm just going to say show lecturers like this. So let's see if we did get any result. Oh, I think I saw something. No? No, maybe not. Let me cut this out here. Let me go to the lecturers table here, where we are viewing everything, and let me try to echo it here. Like that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we didn't get any result at all. So let's come back and see what the problem is. So select all from class lecturers where class ID is equal to class ID. So this class ID is represented by that and that ID. So everything here looks great. And disabled is equal to 1. Oh, that's because we added disabled, so we have no results. I want to see the results, so let me remove the disabled. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So it's saying undefined property user. So that means that's because we are reading this without getting the user ID. So to solve this problem, we're going to go back to our model and update it a little bit. The main model here, which is this one. The same way we are using this run functions after you doing the select, we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to copy these here, copy. This is in the where function. It's also there in the first function. Yeah. The only place it isn't, it's also there in the find all. The only place it isn't is in the query. Now query isn't here in the model. It's inside the database. I don't even know why I left it there anyway. It's in here. Anyway, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. All we need to do is paste this here and try it. So run functions after a select. So if is array data, now instead of returning data here, we have to let's see, return data. If is array data and count is greater than 0. Yeah, this is what we are supposed to add here. So excuse me, I will cut this out here and put it here. Oh, wait a minute. return false. So I'll remove all this here, boom, and put it here instead. Now the reason I'm doing that is because this one returns the data. So if I leave it out here, we will never get to this point. So we need to put it after the fact. Okay. And let's put array data here as an empty array. Okay, good. That way it's always there and we can check on it. And then here we can add some stuff, and then finally, yeah. So let's give it a test run and see if things will work out. Okay, so you have an error in your okay, what is this? You have an error in your so it's near here, value order ID descending. Okay, so what is the query itself anyway? Okay, let's pause here for a second and we're going to figure out the problem in the next video.